Hi, everybody. I am not sure if you can hear me or see me. So if you can, please let us know in the chat thread. Both Shawna and I have been having some trouble with the platform tonight. I have no idea what's going on. I've never had this many issues. So if you can see me, I'm actually going to type right now I think that I'm on live. Okay, so Frank just told me that he can hear me and see me, so that's good. Hopefully I don't freeze. Thank you, Eleanor. The other thing that's kind of goofy is that normally I can expand my screen, and it's not letting me do that this time either. So either way, we are ready to rock and roll and get started. So, all right. Whew. Shake that off. Those elves are playing with us tonight. All right, everybody. And if we have any issues at all, we may have to reschedule tonight. I know you guys have lots to do, but we're hoping to get through this. So, all right. Welcome to Pets Plus Live Beyond the Pages. I'm Candace Daniolo, your show host from Pet Boss Nation. And in every episode of these Pets Plus Live Beyond the Pages, you get to go on a journey with me where we take you beyond the pages of the magazine, beyond this amazing magazine, where you get an opportunity to dig deeper and talk to experts and contributors from the magazine. It also allows you an opportunity to chat directly with us. So don't be shy at all. The whole hour long, you should be chatting with us and letting us know your questions and concerns or what any of these ideas and how they've worked for you. So let's just get started. I know some of us have already been chatting in the thread, or if you're watching this later, I'd love for you to let us know in the comments where you're from and also what you want for Christmas or Hanukkah. Hanukkah just started yesterday, so happy holidays to everybody. Let us know where you're from and what it is that you want Santa to bring you this Christmas. Well, at Pet Boss Nation, I love helping pet professionals like you. It's a true passion of mine, and it's why Pets Plus and I partner together so much for things like this. You know, helping pet professionals like you build amazing businesses is a true passion of mine. We believe in it so much that we dedicate this time. I make time for you. I find these amazing guests. And I also, at Pet Boss Nation, do private consulting and group coaching in a group coaching program called the Pet Boss Club. Now, Pets Plus Magazine, as many of you, hopefully you're getting your copy. I have 3 copies right here, and I'm excited to say that in 2018, you're going to get 10 issues. And I got to see a sneak peek of the January issue today, and I'm really excited. And one of the things I'd love to share with you is that when you get that magazine, you're going to want to open up and find how you can submit your store's information for America's Coolest Store Contest. That's right. You can tell Pets Plus readers how cool you are. And if you're one of the honorees or favorite mentions or the winner even, you get to be on webinars like this with me. So definitely don't miss the January issue. All right. So we're going to dig in. We are going to dig in. Let me double check. I have been having some technology problems. Here we go. We are good. All right. So are you totally drained with your workload? There we go. We've got Shawna's with us. Are you totally drained with your workload? Because I'm wondering how I'm going to get through the new year or through the end of the year myself. But I can't wait to introduce you to Shawna. Shawna Schuh, the shoe. The shoe. She's with us. Yeah, Shawna is one of the most energetic people that I know, one of the most positive people that I know. And she's a true entrepreneur, certified speaking professional. She combines her passion for pets and all the professionals who work with them as the president of the Women in the Pet Industry Network. Welcome, Shawna.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Even with all the technical issues, it actually makes, it's the holiday. Everybody's in a frenzy. And we got on a long time before this even started. And There you go.
I know. We've been on here for like 30 minutes already. I know. Trying to figure this out. But, that's what happens. That's what happens. So thank you for taking the time out tonight, Shawna. I would love for you to tell our viewers a little bit more about women in the pet industry.
It's so interesting because a little bit behind. I was involved with a lot of professional things. I do executive coaching. I do professional speaking. I got all this. And I started to think to myself, I mean, my trajectory was always learning and education. And so I started looking around because I did some soul searching, and I loved what I did for a living, working with business people. Mm-hmm. But I had this kind of epiphany when I had a man who was kind of having some trouble with his employees. And we're talking about employee engagement tonight. Mm-hmm. And finally, I looked at him and I said,
all right. I don't know. There we go. We're back. Okay, we're back. I'm sorry.
I hope you can hear the story, but and hopefully people can. I can't see the chat, but anyway. So I said, you need a dog, and he goes, why would I do that? And I said, well, because inconsistencies show up in a dog, and number two, which was the most important thing, you can't fire a dog. You know, you can't get rid of your problems by firing. So ultimately, he got a dog. But it was my epiphany that I said, I would really like to work with people who love animals, because people who have animals in their lives, people who serve animals, I mean, we all pick up poop. It's just such an equalizer. I love that part. Now, if you live way out in the country like I do, I don't pick up much, but because they go in the woods to go. So I just started to research it. And what I kind of stumbled upon was somebody had attempted to start an association. And I thought, that's kind of old. What we need is a network. Mm-hmm. And so this is for women and men. There's men that are involved. And we're a network, and you're involved. You're an amazing member and a winner, I must say, of one of the pet industry women of the year. I got it on, seriously. You deserve it, and you're great. But anyway, we just have this network, and we do a magazine, and we do a conference, and we do the Pet Industry Woman of the Year. And it's my heart thing, because these are the women that are helping the people who love the pets. Mm-hmm. So
that's right. And we, love having someone like you to help guide us and energize us. And, it is such an important organization. I think I even have, just because I think it's fun. I think it's really important to learn. I've got a video, if it'll let me. Let's see if it'll let me play this video. We've got a video of what your conferences are like. All right, we're going to play this now. Okay. Check it out.
And who makes magic? You do.
So you need to embrace your talents.
It's really exciting to connect with different people.
Life's cookie jar is never empty.
Hey! Well, oh my God!
And I got a commercial.
Wow! Commercial. That technology works. And actually, everybody, as I was just saying to Shawna while we're behind the scenes on that, is that I need a video like that for my own business. And as I think about for you guys too, every single one of us needs some sort of a promo video that's short and sweet. That was only 45 seconds that we can share with our customers and our audiences. So I wanted to share that with everyone here, because I think what Shawna does in women in the pet industry is so important to the pet industry. And I hope that some of you watching will join the association, or the network, I should say.
That's right. Good girl. Good girl.
Yes.
You're quick
yeah, I want to dig in now into your strengths, your powers of kind of, I feel like, what you write a lot about in the Pets Plus magazine. So you're a fellow columnist as well. And the most recent article in this magazine is back here. It's Empower Your Staff. So how does this article come about? I mean, you went into a store, you had an experience. Tell us about that.
Well, and here's what I wanted to say to everybody that's on the call and whoever listens afterwards. We're not all our best selves. I mean, this is the time of year that we're stressed and what have you. And in that article, I'm not my best self. I wish I had not gotten so irritated with the woman helping me. But the message is so sound in that how much power do your people have? And so the story basically was, I went in, I found all these great gifts. I was in a kind of like one of those stores that you buy crafts and things. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to buy the whole box. So I grabbed them and we took them up, and they were in this display box. And the whole thing was about, I was making multiple purchases. I bought everything. And then I went back and got a lot more. So I had, I think, 2 full shopping bags. My assistant was with me, and they were in a display box. And I was like, this is perfect size. I'll have them there until it's time.
Did you just section? I am on my thing. Yep. Okay. Sorry. She'll come through. Okay. Oh no, I'm not sure which one of us is frozen if they can see us. I don't know if you can see me. There we go. Shawna's coming back. There we go. She's she's back. Shawna's frozen.
Okay.
People say they can see me. Okay, great. That is okay. Technology. We're waiting. Here is the thing about business. There's always going to be things thrown at you, right? That you've either never encountered or, you know, I don't know why exactly there's 2 of us here, or 3 of us here, but you know, there's always going to be things. And so here we go. There we go. We're good now. But let's get back on track. It's always, we'll always in life, this is perfect, right? The perfect story. There will always be moments when you get derailed, and it is always how you handle it, right?
Always. And that's keeping your cool under pressure. And that's what I was trying to say, is sometimes I don't. Tonight, we're both doing well. We wish that we could give more to who's listening. And thank you for staying on and listening. I mean, and I'm very open to whatever questions you want to ask me, go for it. So anyway, this story was, I got a little irritated. She didn't have the power to say, keep the box. But more importantly, and even more importantly than this, for your stores, she called and the manager said, no, she can't keep the box. Great. Then go get me a different box. What are you doing to please the customer? And that's really where we have the problems. I just wrote another blog post this week about, I was up at this huge city, Leavenworth. They had this big tree lighting. And believe it or not, there were so many people in the city that they had lines to get into the stores, and they had gatekeepers at the store. And this happens. I mean, in New York City, I heard this was happening. So they have a gate, and as people leave the store, they let 2 more people in. It's like parking, right? So as they leave the garage, you know, well, they open the gate and it's like, well, you get to come in. Well, there's a couple of things wrong with this, but at least they're directing the flow. But there were people who, because there was a space on the sidewalk, and people would walk over. I'm in line watching this happen, and they would want to come in. And the bouncer, the guy in the door, would go, get in line. And they're like, there's a line? They didn't know. They didn't know. And so they're confused. And guess what they are? They're embarrassed.
Yeah.
And they went like this. We better just leave.
Yeah.
How many sales were lost because nobody knew? They didn't know. I didn't know there were going to be lines. And then you're waiting in the cold. And by the way, when I got into a store after waiting in line, I'm like, hurry up. There's people out there freezing. I didn't buy anything.
Too long in there. Yeah.
I bought 0. And so, and I was there to shop.
Yes.
So the lesson is, how are you empowering your employees, and how are you treating them? How are the people that come in, both 4-legged and 2-legged, being treated? How do they feel when they're in your store? How do they feel?
Well, so that, I think you've got two points there. The first point, to the point of, how do your customers feel? How are you making your customers feel? But then the other part is the empowering the employees, and the empowering the employee. A lot of times, like, they don't know, if you as the owner of a business have not communicated what's allowed for them to do, or not even what's allowed for them to do, but what the customer's experience should be, then they don't feel empowered. You know, in my old store, Dogaholics, and it's still this way at the doggy daycare, no, the philosophy that I have with both employees and with customers is that no one should ever walk out that door or get off the phone angry, ever. So whatever you have to do, if you looks like we lost Shawna there. She'll probably jump back on. There So, but no one should ever leave angry. And so no matter what the scenario is with the customer, the employee has to find a way to make it right. And I always love the phrase, if, it's, I want to, like, almost when you get handled or a situation comes to you and know that it's probably not going to end in the experience customer wants. I always tell my staff to say something like, I'm on your side. I absolutely want to make this happen for you. Let me see what I can do. And then they follow up or saying that, like this woman did try to do that. But so talk more about, because I think a lot of people on here have employees or are thinking about getting employees. So how do we as owners help communicate and empower those people working for us?
Well, and there's two things I'm going to share, but right now, one of the ways is what we call the people who work with us. Now, they are employees. We pay employee taxes. They're employees. But if they think they're an employee, that's much less powerful than if they think they're an associate. They think that they're part of a team. So I know for what you do, but whenever I talk to leaders and I do a lot of executive coaching, it's like, well, this is my employee. They have to do what I say.
Yeah. She froze for a second, guys. She'll be back. But it's so true. Your employees have to be part of your team. And it's a shift, a mindset shift you have to make in your own language, in your own company culture, to shift away from employee to team member. There she is.
There she is. There she is. So that was one piece, is that I would always say, what are we calling them? And when we go, well, I'll talk to my employee about it, to a customer, and the employee hears that. I'm going to talk to the teammate. We're a team here. So you stick up for them, you empower them. So that's one thing. The other thing is careful with the words that you use when you use things like, well, that's our policy. We all have a policy manual. We all have things that we work very hard to put systems in place. But a process, well, this has been our process, but it's tweakable, versus policy, which sounds like it's rule-based. So I always say that they feel empowered when we help them with their language, if that makes sense.
Yes, I love that. If you're watching, chat in the thread about what you call your team.
Oh, good. I can't see the chat.
Yeah. I love that. So then on the other side of that, like you just said about the customers, how your customers are being treated and feel. What are your pointers on that?
As far as how we want them to feel? Well, I always think that there's an intent behind everything. And so a lot of times, especially when we're doing a big promo or we're doing something where we want people to come in, we want additional sales. I mean, what keeps us up at night is we don't have enough sales. I mean, we're like, we've got too much overhead. So if we looked and said, our focus for our employees is all make sure that they buy something, make sure that but if we actually looked at it and said, not talk them to death, but actually listen and ask better questions, then your intent is to serve them for whatever it might be. So I always say the intent is behind everything. How do I want my employees to feel? How do I want my customers to feel? How do I want everyone in my life to feel? And I want them to feel loved, valued. And if that's the way I have as an intent, I can't really fail.
Yes, that's very true. I always love the saying that service is sales, sales is service. You always have to develop those customer relationships first. And it's not even that the customer is always right, but it's how can we help our customers? How can we serve our customers?
And let's look at this season, and let's look at what I just experienced when I was in Leavenworth. I have a feeling that what they were doing is attempting to get through the onslaught. They were attempting to get through this night of just intense. It was the big lighting. The mayor was there. All the music was there. You just couldn't get even through the streets. And so what are you telling your team? What are you telling your customers when you're like, well, as soon as this is through or as soon as it eases up? No. There's all the time in the world for you. And when you tell somebody that, they speed up, interestingly enough.
Yeah. So when a business owner is, needing to think about even how they treat their own employees, and maybe they aren't getting there. I mean, I know I hear a lot of times that, that a pet business owner is a little frustrated with team members because they're not doing the job to the best or to the ability that the owner would do it. Or, it's kind of one of those things where I'll just do quicker if I do it myself. There's lots of scenarios of where I think we can easily get annoyed at the people that are
absolutely. I got an idea.
Yeah.
So it's sort of dog-like in that when we're focused on things that we want to improve, which is what almost every business owner is, they're always focused on what we can improve. How do we tweak it? How do we streamline it? How do we cut costs? We're focused on how to make it better. We're forgetting that what's really going well, we forget to praise. So if you looked at it and said, like, let's just say, take dog training, and you're always like, no, don't, you're on the dog and the dog doesn't know what's going on. But the minute you just shut up and say the dog does anything right, and you go, oh, good dog. And the dog's like, I did that right. And you're like, yeah. Same with team members. If we looked at it and said, so there's a technique to it. You find things you think they're good at. Now, sometimes you have to look really hard, but you come up with at least three things they're really good at, whether it be answering the phone or whether it be Johnny on the spot or whether it be detail oriented. Find what they do good at. And I would even jot it down. I would give it thought. And then when you're in their presence, you have a chance to say, do you know what you're really good at? Now that little phrase, do you know what's admirable about you? Do you know what's impressive about you? And they're going to go, what? They want to know. Matter of fact, I've used this inside my family. I had a nephew that lived with me for a while, and I would say, you know what I love about you? And one day I had said that to him. Hey, do you know what I love about you? And then I got interrupted. And later, like 20 minutes later, he comes back and he goes, what was that thing you were going to say? And I went, what thing? And I mean, I really didn't know. And he goes, he's all embarrassed. He's like, that thing you loved about me. And I'm like, this so works. So if you have an employee, it just so works. If you say, you're so good at that, you know what you're getting really great at? You're getting really great at, I love that you're always on time. You're crazy great on time. And they're going to go, I'm getting recognized for what I do well, which means I want to do what? More well.
Yeah.
But then I want to make sure that I recognize that they're doing more well. And that's what I think bosses, we're owners. And the idea behind all of this is the buck stops with me. So a teammate makes a mistake and I'm paying. That's all there is to it. It comes out of the big pile. So you're just like, they have no responsibility whatsoever. It's difficult not to say, this will never happen again. Instead,
I love your point there, because again, the things that you can point out to them, it will help them do more of that thing.
Yeah.
Right. And they'll take ownership of that thing, and it will tend to grow. And maybe they'll even feel they know that you like it so much, they may even find ways to make that part of your business better. Right.
Absolutely.
The other side of that too, I'm trying to think, now I lost my train of thought on that. But because this is the thing I was going to say, and I think was interesting is about how he's saying that when you talked to your nephew and you said that to him and he came back 20 minutes later and really wanted to know, and one, who doesn't love to hear about themselves, but or how what people think of them, but there's just so much negativity in general, right? That you see, whether it's in your social media feeds, or you feel less than other people because people on social media put only the best stuff. And so a lot of times too, maybe some of our team members, they're not making as much money as they could in other places, because sometimes retail is not like it pays big bucks, but they may be struggling, and they all have different circumstances outside of work. So when we can create a positive environment that nurtures their growth,
and there's ways to do that, Candace. So one way that has really helped, and we do it in coaching a lot. I do a accountability call Monday through Friday in the mornings at 5:15 my time. And believe it or not, we're starting in January, my 11th year of doing it every Monday through Friday.
Make sure everyone, I think we're talking, sometimes you talk a little fast, Shawna. I do it too.
I do.
But listen,
okay.
Everyone heard that. She gets up, is it 3 days a week or twice a week?
5 days.
Oh, okay. And 5 in the morning to get on a group phone call with people as an accountability call, to get up and kind of like, I guess, I hear now she's frozen again, but yeah, Frank's like, yikes, 5:15. Don't worry, Frank, that would be 8:15 your time. She lives on the West Coast, but she gets on these calls, and I know she'll tell us more about it when she comes back on. But they are amazing because I feel like the people who get on these calls with her are, they're up, they're refreshed, they're ready to tackle the day. Shawna also has a goat and a pig and horses she has to take care of. So she's probably really used to getting up early on the farm. All right. So we will wait for Shawna to come back here real quick. And I want to hear the ways, if you want to type it in the thread, I want to hear the ways that you help empower your team. How do you create that culture of a good experience for your employees? Looks like Janine. Operant versus classical conditioning. It works on dogs and people. Very true. Think about dog training. That's a perfect example, Janine. Dog training as in, there are dogs start to do what we want to do when there's a little treat, a little nugget, right, that they get. And why not for employees? That treat sometimes can just be your attention in a positive way. It can also be time off or better work conditions, a little bit more pay, just knowing what they're going through. All of those are little treats to give each one of them to help them start to do better in their job, okay? It goes a much longer way than constantly criticizing them. One of the other things that I thought of when Shawna was talking is the fact that it's easy when we're really busy, especially in December. I mean, hopefully your business is booming and that you're so busy, but it gets really easy to, on the sales floor, when things are happening, to say something that you don't like or to be annoyed by something. And talking to an employee in front of their peers or in front of customers about something they've done wrong is really embarrassing for people and usually won't get you the result that you want to see. So a much more strategic way to handle all of those situations is to just keep make a note for yourself, either a mental note or write it on a piece of paper so that you can meet with that employee off of the sales floor to review the things that you don't love that they've done, but always end with something that you do love that they do. All right, Shawna. So while you were gone, I told everybody about your farm. Well, not really. I told them that you have pigs, and because you were talking about getting that 5:15 call, and I said, well, she probably gets up early every day anyway because she's got horses and pigs and goats and all these other creatures. So it wouldn't be too much of a stretch, but.
They always think that I get up early to feed, but I feed everybody much later than that. Okay. I do own a horse boarding facility. I feed 24 horses in the mornings. Wow. That's how I stay in shape. Yes. But I was going to go back, and forgive me, I went and reloaded. The 5:15 call is important for a couple of reasons, but it's Monday through Friday, and when you're on it, you have an opportunity to just energize your brain and determine what you're going to actually focus on during that week. So it's a powerful situation that people have done for 11 years now. And it really helps because when we're working on something and when you're accountable to something, it makes you a better person. So one of the things that we do on the 5:15 is we share a win. And this is what keeps it really positive. And that's what I was going to bring around when you're saying there's so much negativity.
Yeah.
So I've got.
Oh, no. Oh, man. Okay, we're good. We're back. All right.
Right. When we ask for a win, like if you were to say to your employees, tell me one good thing that happened since last night, one good thing, or tell me one thing at the end of the week when you have your meeting that, to figure out what you're doing, you go share one positive thing in your life, one win. And if they said, my dog and I had the best time yesterday, if they said, my family's doing really well, about other things.
I love that.
So
I love that. So
that's another idea.
So when we talk about how to empower them, it's these accountability the accountability piece of it, but coming from probably meeting regularly anyway also empowers them, because they have an opportunity to come and ask questions, but it also is an opportunity for you as the business owner to set the tone of your business. I don't work a lot in my business, in my brick and mortar space that much. And I find when I'm gone too long, it could even be, when I say too long, it could just be a few weeks. Even, it doesn't have to be even like months, right? It's a few weeks. The team that's there, that's always fielding a lot of stuff, or if there's a new hire, sometimes we need to regroup and say, okay, guys, I believe in the lifetime value of customers.
Yes.
And so while they get very policy driven sometimes, because it's a doggy daycare, we have to have certain vaccines or pickup drop offs. And at a doggy daycare, it's kind of like Christmas season for retailers all the time, because there's dogs always coming in and going out. It's constantly, barking and all of those things. But so it's always good to have regular meetings to reset everybody, make sure we're all on the same page as a company. Because to your point earlier, from your earlier stories, that security guard or this girl, and even that manager that didn't approve for the box for you to be given, their owner of that company may have not even know that the team is treating the employees that way. So definitely check in on your team and the customer's experience, or I guess check in on your team on how you want your customer's experience to be. Okay, so Shawna is frozen again. That's all right. Let's see. The thing that, I'll have to wait till she comes back on. We can dig into that one. I've got my list of questions for her.
I'm ready.
Okay. You can hear me. Great. I got my list of questions. So one of the things that you said was one of your strengths is communication. And you said Bernard Shaw once said, the challenge with communication is the illusion it's being achieved. I love that and I want to know more.
When you study communication like I do, and my background, I've gotten in neuro-linguistic programming. And that's, if people who know neuro-linguistic programming, it's neurology. So how we fire, what is our brain doing? And that science continues, new stuff all the time. Your language, and that's why when I'm talking about language, the difference between an employee and a teammate or an associate, huge, how it feels, the energy around it. And then the other one is our programs. How are we programmed? What are we doing over and over again? Some programs really help us, like we all drive on the same side of the road in America. That helps. Other programs hurt us, like my mother taught me to eat everything on my plate. Not a program I need anymore. Okay.
I was going to think that's a horrible parenting, thing to do anyway, because now we all feel like we have to finish it. Oh, I lost. She froze again. Okay, there she is.
So when we talk about communication, the illusion that it's been achieved, we think we're good communicators. We also think we're good drivers, and it's not true. So we have to be constantly asking what people actually heard us say. Especially since we will look at someone, our teammate, and we told everybody that this weekend we were doing something. Well, reality is we didn't tell everyone. We told the group of people, one was not there. We forgot, no one told them, and they make a gigantic error. That's a lack of communication. So can you over communicate? Probably not. Can you communicate properly? Yes. I mean, we can talk too much, but when people are really understood, or you say, please feed back to me what you just heard, you're going to get so much more. Also, for leaders, which I work with predominantly with leaders, owners, leaders, entrepreneurs, business owners, most of them are telling too much. I tell all my people this. I'm always telling my people, we're about this. I always tell and I'm like, when do you ask them? Nobody's asking, they're telling. And people are like, I'm sure they told me, whatever. And that's why most employees are disengaged, because you're telling them all the time. Maybe we should start asking them or engaging them in ways. And one great way to engage them is to ask, what's a win? How would you handle that differently? What would be an improvement on this? So anyway, it's an idea that has worked for many.
Yeah, I really think that's so critical. When we think about sales conversations or adding on products and merchandise, if you're witnessing an employee team member that's that's on your sales floor who, maybe missed an opportunity to add on more items, you can, instead of telling them that they missed that opportunity, you could ask and say, I really enjoy, or I really loved how you helped that customer. Do you think, or do you think there were any other opportunities for you to make sure she left with everything she needed? And they can maybe think of it that way. I'm not sure if that's what you're trying to describe there, but maybe you have a better way to phrase it.
I actually do. Another way to engage with them versus as someone who owns. When we say, I really like the way you did that, you've begun with I.
Okay.
So many leaders begin with I. They begin with, I appreciate what you're doing for the store. Well, they're not doing it for you, just so you know. They're doing it because they have that work ethic. So if you would just take it away from I, this would be a big, big thing for people tonight, and put it into you. You did that really well.
How do you think you... I'm writing that down. So you're so right. I'm writing that down. I've even noticed, in full disclosure, when I write emails, a lot of the paragraphs I start when it's I'm very aware that that's happening. And I'm like, I can't even restructure my sentences and that's where I have time to think about it, let alone the words that quickly come out of my mouth. So that's a big shift. It's a big shift. I love that. Looks like she's frozen there for a second, but you do this well. I love that. The other thing that she said is that when she was saying, but that business owners can give instruction, not instruction, but tell people things, instead of assuming everybody knows that they've heard you correctly, to ask them to either repeat back to you what they heard. Instead of approaching that, I'm sure she used the word, give me feedback from what you've heard, means, I think, allows that word, using feedback, allows them to interpret, or not to interpret, allows them to communicate to you maybe how they've interpreted it, instead of repeating back to you what you've said. Right. All right, great. So she'll be coming back on again. I appreciate you guys. Looks like we still have 10 of you with us. Frank says there's so many moving parts. Frank says that my biggest challenge in our company is communication, or lack thereof. It is all my fault. There's so many moving parts. Frank, it's true. I'm the same way. There's things in business, they happen so frequently. And, when you have a lot of people to communicate with, you have to find a way to get the word out in a way that you want it to, and to see the results that you need to see. And everyone hears things or learns things, interprets things differently too, in different ways and on different timelines, even different processes. Okay, so Shawna, oops, looks like she's left, but there she is. She's coming back on now. Okay, she'll be here in just a second. There we go. She's back. So I love that, Shawna. Thank you. And actually, thank you. You're probably having the most work out of all of us since you're jumping off and jumping back in. Oh, I can't hear you. You need to turn your mic on.
I can't imagine how frustrating it must be for the people watching. So I'm going to say a blanket, forgive us, forgive me.
Yeah, no, we'll have to.
I talk fast and then I'm gone, frozen.
We will do another one of these, I know, because I've learned so much from you tonight. I know that other people have too. Okay, I keep wanting. I want to still tap into this amazing communication, what is it? Neuro-linguistic practitioner. I love that. And you're an executive coach. So I would love to hear more about that, about how people can be better leaders. Not even just the one simple statement of using you instead of I. Like, what are your other tricks for all of us that lead teams? Oh no, she's frozen.
Not frozen this time.
There you go.
Okay, good. There are hundreds of tools, and a lot of it has to do with the natural cadence of a leader. Like, there we go. I wouldn't have given you, can you hear me?
Yep.
I wouldn't have given you that tip if you hadn't have actually said, I really like what you're doing there. And so then I had an opportunity to say, Candace, what if? Because it was valuable to you right then because you were doing it. And that's the hard part with any kind of training. When somebody comes out and asks for this, do this. People won't remember that. It's sort of like, again, when you're training your pets, you must catch them in the act. If you catch them after the act, not so good. So if one of your teammates is engaging and you can actually look at them and say, wow, you really did good there. What would you do? And ask questions. You're going to build them in their strengths. But no matter how good the techniques are, it was more powerful for you because you had just said, I really like that. And so now you're like, I could use that. And I think that's the beauty of what we're doing here is people can hear it and see it. And if they'll actually apply that same thing in their work, it will work. Use it for everyone in your life. Matter of fact, when I'm coaching executives, one of the most important things is practice on the spouse, right? Because it's everything's a training ground. Everything's a training ground. And here's the other thing that I want to just slide in when it comes to education and training, because I think people want to get their team trained. We get together, we do these things. We have to figure out, there's a big difference in my mind between training and education. And I think if you'll think new ways about this, there are certain things that you train. Now, when you train horses, things, you do it over and over and over and over. We're working on sit for a long time, and then we break it up and we go back and work on sit. You train your team for things that have to be consistently and repetitively done. The computer work, how to ring something up, how to do the end of day reports, everything that you need. Everything else that has to do with people really needs to be educated. And that's where I hate training. It's repetitive and it's constant. But I'd love to be educated, which means you're going to engage my mind. You're going to ask me questions. You're going to let me be involved with the process. And I'm all in. Yeah. So one of my coaches, mentors, used to say, liken it like this. The difference between training and education. If you have a child, do you want them to have
tight? Okay. There she goes. Okay. So we missed you at it's if you have a child. Think about it if you have a child, the difference between training and education. That's where we lost you. Oh, hang on. Okay, now you're back there. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, right there. What a time to lose it. If you have a child, you think about, what do you want? Do you want sexual training or sexual education? You want
right. Yep.
You want them to be educated so that they make good choices. You don't want training. No, we don't want training. So in your team, think about making sure that they have education about things that have to do with people and training over things that they have to do that are much more mechanical.
Yes.
Does make sense?
Yes. I love that. Okay. The other piece here now is that it's the end of the year. Everyone is exhausted. I know you know a lot about leadership and communication, but I think that you also know a lot about self-care and trying not to feel overwhelmed. So when people are working, because a lot of the people watching, they're working a lot of hours. They're on the sales floor a lot. I mean, bless their heart that they're even still here right now. Because so there's a, you know, they have this precious moments to be doing other things too, but they're choosing to listen to us. So thank you. But what do you recommend that when people, some tactics that people could do to remain calm when they're starting to get heated up about a situation inside? Oh, she froze on me again. Okay, Frank, I can see that you've got your question there. I think that's a great question. I'll make sure to ask that to her when she joins back in. And if anyone, the people that are still watching, if you want to let us know what you like to do when you're getting heated up or angry about something, how to cool off if you're getting stressed out. Here she comes. She's coming back in. Hi. Okay, you're back. So
there we are.
There you are. I don't know how much you heard, but basically I would like to know tips and tricks to help people when they're either feeling stressed and overwhelmed. Maybe things are just boiling over inside for them. They're getting annoyed. Like, what are some techniques that they can use?
These are fairly standard, but it's been proven. The first one that I would always say, whenever I'm feeling, and I feel that way. I've got multiple businesses we run, and by the way, I had a retail store for a long time ago. It's so overwhelming. If you looked at it and said, you cannot be two emotions at the same time. So we get into an emotion like overwhelm, and then everything stacks on. It's sort of like when you're negative and it stacks and stacks. So the best thing to do is say, what's a different action? Because I can't be two things at the same time. And the one that works the best for me is gratefulness. If we look and say, I'm really grateful I have this problem versus I have this problem. Because if I have this problem, then all I'm focused on is the problem. But if I'm really grateful, I have an opportunity to do this. Or I also think about what I do for a living. I go and clean stalls. I shovel manure in the mornings. We all pick up poop if we've got animals. And this gives us an opportunity to be really centered. So I always say, go back to your pets. Mm-hmm. There's something, they don't care. Their entire spirit is, hey, the meal's coming. It's like,
yeah.
But oh, I think you've frozen, which means I've frozen. Are we up? Okay.
You're back.
So there's no way to be unhappy if you own a goat. That's just a truism. So if I look and say, number one, you can't be two things at once, so get grateful. Number two, music has a chance to really change the spirit around. It really does. So if you know you've got this track, at the Whippin' conference, somebody talked about the soundtrack. Somebody had given them a soundtrack when they were down. And that's what we're doing for Whippin' for next time. We're going to have a whole music soundtrack. What about you and your team having the music that, pumps you up when it's on down days? Or if you have somebody that comes in and is an unhappy customer, it's like pop up that whatever it is, the song that you all pick that makes you just, I mean,
it's like reset. I mean, my manager at my daycare, he tends to take a lot of things personally from not when the team is upset, but when the customer gets upset, and it has nothing to do. And he always handles it really well after the fact. But right. He lets it bother him, and it takes him a little while to get to decompress from that. So I like your idea about the song because sometimes there might be a customer who comes in and either wants to return something or is being, which is again a difference in customer policies. But maybe there's a difficult scenario where the customer was cranky and made a scene or got angry with an employee there. It's like, that's a great idea though, is to just have that song ready to go. Okay, we're going to dance this out. We're just going to let all that bad energy go right out of the shop with that customer. All right. So she'll be popping. I feel like I can tell now when it's going to take a little bit longer and not for her to pop out and pop back in. Frank, I want to get to your question. So we'll get straight to that one next. For everyone else, there is something that I think that Ralph might have talked about it at the beginning, but the Brain Squad. The Brain Squad is a thing that Pets Plus does that every one of us can be part of. There's a link that was shared earlier in the chat thread, or if you're watching this later, go to Pets Plus .com or petsplusmag.com and look for their Brain Squad section. This allows you to get opportunities to chime in with your experiences in business and have opportunities to get featured in the magazine. And they also have another scenario or another section called The Real Deal. And that's where they present a scenario to you or to, all of us. And we get a chance to respond with how we would react to that scenario. All right. So I'm sure she's going to jump back in and then we can answer that one last question. I love it. I don't know that I told you her pets' names for a second here. We've got her pig is named Herbert the Hogster and Chester the Goatel. I don't know, that's funny. Herbert and Chester. There she's coming on now. Hi, okay. While you were gone, I told everybody your goat's name and your pig's name, Chester and Herbert. I love that.
Herbert the Hogster. Yeah.
But you're back. And now we do have a question I think is really important. So I'd love to get that before we lose connection again. And then due to time, I'm sure we can say goodbye after that. But Frank would like to know if Frank would like to know if do you think that men communicate differently than women in the workplace?
That's like, of course.
Yes. Right. I would say.
Yeah. The biggest thing, though, is I always like to say, what is the brain that you're bringing? I like communication to be genderless. And a good question is a good question no matter what gender that person is. Mm-hmm. So, of course, they're different. But so are we. I'm a rural person. I communicate differently than an urban person. So everybody communicates differently. It's the quality of the questions and it's your intent.
It's your intent. Yeah, we've lost her again.
Here.
There you go.
Right,
okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Intent. So we missed her right where you said it's your intent.
Your intent and also the quality.
The quality. Hang on. Okay, your intent and the quality. Your intent and
the quality of your questions.
Quality of your questions. I love that. So, Frank, just so that you can, since you can't see the chat, the last thing he says is to relieve stress. He tells our associates that it's only pet food and supplies, and that the fate of the free world does not rely on this, and that usually gets them to decompress. So, yeah. Thank you, Frank, for all your questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. Well, the other thing besides music, everybody is more and more. They're doing research for the brain, how well meditation works. Mm-hmm. It really does. And so even though it's not, you don't have to meditate for a long time. Just a couple of sits down for a minute, move out of the situation, go to the bathroom and just take a couple of deep breaths and only spend a couple of moments just getting rid of thoughts. And that's also a reset for your brain as well. And they're finding that it's like an exercise for you mentally, that's how powerful meditation is. More and more research is coming up. So that's another way to reset it. Let people also move, go take a walk for a bit and come back and we'll rethink.
Yes. Well, Shawna, thank you so very much for joining me and all the viewers here for our Pets Plus Live Beyond the Pages. Wait, let me grab the magazine that you've written in here too. Beyond the Pages, where we dip into all the awesome ideas and content and the brilliant brains of our contributors like Shawna. And for anyone who wants to get the magazine, who isn't already on the list, go to petsplusmag.com. It's a free magazine. And this is our last webinar for 2018. So, but we're coming back the last of 2017. I'm already a year ahead. The last webinar of 2017, but we are coming back strong with 2 webinars a month in 2018. We've already got them booked. So we can't wait to share them with you. And if you'd like to be part of the Pet Boss Nation community, there's a Facebook group you can join. Check it out on Facebook. It's easy to find. Just type in Pet Boss Nation group in the search bar. And that's where the Pets Plus team hangs out and where you can get access to being featured in the magazine. So thank you, Shawna, again. And for everybody else, have a wonderful and amazing holiday. Spend time with your family. Spend time doing whatever you love, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.